So, someone I recently subscribed to or follow on YouTube, Wild Striker Pony, Brony, I think, Wild Striker Brony, has been doing a lot of videos, and he's going to be taking a break at least for the next 2 weeks. But he did one, on a video where he kind of asked the question, was there, I guess in storyline continuity, was there, before there was even an Equestria, was there an Alicorn civilization? Because the one question everybody's always wondered in G4, is where did Alicorns come from? Who did they, descend from? Are they from a separate civilization that's far off in the distance and in parts unknown of Equestria that nobody can really reach? Are they the fusion of some magical event that caused certain members of the pony tribes that believed in getting along and being together and being friends to fuse, into these new Alicorn beings? A lot of questions like that have been asked. And when Sunny Star Scout got her powers, basically these, powers that, show up when they're needed, it made people wonder even more. What is the status of an Alicorn? Or what puts you in the status of an Alicorn? Has Alicorn magic evolved to the point that a regular Earth pony can have it within them, or reside within them, and call upon it when they need it? And these are all very good questions. And Wild Striker Brony, brought up a very good subject to discuss, theory to speculate on. And when I hear something like this, it gets me thinking as well, like, is there more to it in the lore of MLP, both generations 4 and 5, that we don't know about? I mean, let's be honest. We rarely saw, and this is the truth, rarely saw any Alicorns in Generation 1. Rarely did we see any. And if we did, it was just once in a while. Not even Generation 2, My Little Pony Tales, set in a more modern aesthetic, if you will, touched upon it either. Nobody really said anything about yay or nay on an Alicorn's existence. Not even Generation 3, I can assume, never really touched upon it either. But when it came to Generation 4, and now with Generation 5, there's a lot to really ponder and learn, about the history of these creatures in the continuity, the timeline, this overall story and lore of both recent generations of MLP. I mean, Celestia said it best. Equestria had never seen the birth of a natural birth of an Alicorn. The world of Equestria had never seen it. Now, a lot of people always assumed that she's probably saying that before the existence of Equestria as a whole, has nobody really seen it, but others assume that maybe she's not telling the truth and that she and Luna know more than they're letting on, but we've never got that answer. We never got that answer. So when it comes to Sunny Star Scout, I mean, the more recent Terrier Tale episode, which, believe it or not, these Terrier Tale mini episodes, mini shorts, actually do tie into what goes on, not just with, between the movie, I should say, and the recent Make Your Mark special, which was sort of a continuation of the movie, a sequel to the movie, but also potentially ties into the series of the same name coming out in September. In the recent mini episode, it looked like Sunny had really, finally, I guess you could say, subtly mastered, the magic, the Alicorn magic that reside within her. Now, I don't think the Alicorn transformation at the end of that short, that recent one that I do suggest you check out, I don't think it's a permanent one. I think it's just to show that, what Hitch told her, pretty much saying, hey, you're the only one that can control that magic, the magic that's within you. I think basically the ending is kind of a way of saying, yeah, she can, now control the magic a little better than before. Not saying that it's a surefire thing, if you catch my drift. But yeah, Sunny did, at least at the end of that mini episode, the recent one, did seem to have a little bit more control over her powers and being able to summon them when needed. But Wild Striker Brony also brought up another thing. The mysterious villainous Alicorn we saw at the end of Make Your Mark. Again, as myself and others have asked, who is she? Because everybody has speculated from it's a corrupted Twilight to it's a corrupted Flurry Heart to it's, a descendant of Luster Dawn, Twilight's apprentice at the end of Friendship is Magic, so on and so forth. But we don't know. We don't know if that's to be true. All we know is that she wants to get back what she feels is hers, and that is the magic that the ponies, all three tribes that is, have now seemed to master, or at least, or have at least pretty much gotten a little bit more control over as of late. But the reason he brought her up, and I do apologize for the wind, guys, but the reason he brought her up is because of the fact that her Alicorn design is very reminiscent of old school Alicorn designs. And not only is it very reminiscent of old school Alicorn designs, if you will, but she has a very unique design that reminds people pretty much of, Chrysalis with the horn, but kind of has a familiarity to her in the rest of the design that reminds them of somebody from the G4 series. But they don't know who that could be yet. They don't know exactly who could be the one that, this villainous Alicorn is, from an identity standpoint. All they know is that she just wants to get what she feels is hers back. But again, he brings this up because of the difference between her status as an Alicorn, obviously representing the old school Alicorn to an extent, but as well as compare it to what the status of Sunny's Alicorn stature is, or stance is right now, with being able just to summon the power when need be. I mean, he said basically it's pretty much a visual example of the evolution of not just all of magic in Equestria, but most importantly Alicorn magic, to where now whoever gets Alicorn magic, just has to wait for it to basically awaken inside of them. Actually, let me correct myself. He said something to the extent of, not of what I just said, not of, whenever they get it, but he actually said to the extent that they, the ponies themselves, the Earth, Pegasus, Unicorn, they all possess Alicorn magic in them. They just have to wait for the right moment for it to basically awaken within them and, let them do their thing, if you see where I'm going with, if you see where I'm going with it. So yeah, he does have a point. That might be another, evolution of not just the overall magic in Equestria for the ponies and other creatures, but the Alicorn magic specifically, to where now we may realize that, hey, all the ponies, even in Generation 4, all the pony races had an Alicorn, had a piece of Alicorn magic inside of them, but they had to basically wait for the moment or be part of a moment that would allow that Alicorn magic to awaken within. And that's what happened with Twilight. That's what's happened with Sunny. You know, they waited for the moment for that Alicorn. They basically were in the moment, I should say, of when they awakened the Alicorn magic within them for them to evolve. Same with Cadence before Twilight. But, you know, is that entirely true? We don't know. We don't know if it's entirely true or not. For all we know, again, it could all be the result of the fact that, you know, there are Alicorns out there that are part of a separate civilization, but, you know, had to come to Equestria to maybe expand, you know, expand their existence, to fight off the threat of Grogar, who knows, and basically had to make the sacrifice of the only way they can, you know, keep magic alive in Equestria against a threat like Grogar or Tyrek or whatever. Like I said, Grogar, Tyrek or whatever, one of the main sacrifices they may have had to do, because he does bring up they may have had to do this if there was any like infighting within the race, like an Alicorn war or something, that certain Alicorns may have had to make the sacrifice to separate themselves into 3 different pony races to, you know, stop the war, to bring the war to an end, and potentially, and basically create a new civilization, you know, from what was an Alicorn civilization at first. You know, so there's many things to look at with what Wild Strike said, but, you know, one thing is for certain, even with G5, the question always is going to be, where, you know, where did the Alicorns come from, and why is mostly, you know, Sunny's magic as an Alicorn different, you know, her evolution, I should say, as an Alicorn different, or her evolution into an Alicorn different than what we saw with Twilight and even Cadence. You know, those are good questions. Because again, hers is more like, hey, I need to call upon it right now to save the day, and if she masters it correctly, it happens without a hitch. No pun intended. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on, you know, what Wild Strike Brony had to say on the Alicorn civilization? What do you think, you know, is the true answer to this? Do you think he's right that there was an Alicorn civilization before Equestria? Do you think something happened to where the Alicorns civilization evolved into what we know as the 3 pony tribes? You know, and where do you think Sunny fits in all this and all that? And where do you think it's going to lead her when it comes to a confrontation with this villainous Alicorn down the line in the series? And, you know, basically the difference of both how they achieve their status. What are your thoughts? How do you think this ties in with Twilight and Cadence and their Alicorn forms, and Celestia and Luna? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. Live chat during the premiere. Super chats are available during the premiere as well, would be appreciated. And the super thanks afterwards would also be appreciated. So until next time, guys, my bus is about to be here in a moment. But let me know what your thoughts are, and I am out.